What is up, everyone? Welcome to my Week 9 NFL predictions. Last week I went 10-6, putting my current record at 79-44, and the bye week teams are the Steelers and the 49ers. And starting this week off, we have the Houston Texans taking on the New York Jets. The Texans beat the Colts, and the Jets lost to the Patriots. And although the Texans won, they definitely didn't play their best game. It was really more the Colts losing the game themselves, but I'll get to that later. The Jets losing a very embarrassing game to the Patriots. You should never lose to the Patriots when you're a team with preseason Super Bowl aspirations, which the Jets did have, but those hopes are dying week by week. They just have been playing horrible. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Texans to win this game 20-10. Moving on to our first 1 o'clock game and our first November game for that matter, we have the Saints taking on the Panthers. The Saints losing last week to the Chargers, and they definitely did not look good in that game. They're just injured, and the Chargers just flat out won that game with no real, pressure. And the Panthers lost to the Broncos, and basically the same thing. Both these teams just got dominated the week prior, and both these teams are really not having the starts they would like. And honestly, I'm going to pick the Saints just because they've looked a little better than the Panthers. Not that that's really saying much, but that'll matter in this game, and that's why I'm going to pick the Saints to win 24-17. Moving on, we got the Commanders taking on the Giants. The Commanders winning on a last-second Hail Mary against the Chicago Bears, and the Giants losing on Monday Night Football to the Steelers. And the thing about the Giants losing that game is, they honestly, considering what I expected from that game, they didn't play that bad. I mean, they weren't perfect. I mean, Daniel Jones had a couple of costly turnovers that really hurt the Giants' chances of winning, and that's ultimately what cost them the game. And the Commanders, they somehow only won because of a literal Hail Mary, despite outgaining the Bears a shit ton on offense. I don't really understand how that works, but a win's a win, and I think they will get another win this week against the Giants because I have them winning 23-13. The next game up is the Dolphins taking on the Bills. The Dolphins losing to the Cardinals on a last-second field goal, and the Bills able to dominate the Seahawks. And, the thing about the Dolphins is they will be better since Tua is back, because last game was his first game back, and they did look better, but, that's not going to be enough for them to win this game, let alone even really make the playoffs, to be honest. And the Bills, they just looked like a juggernaut these past few weeks. And I honestly can't pick against them. I believe they're on a 3-game winning streak, and the Dolphins, I believe they're on a 3-game losing streak, ironically. And I gotta pick the Bills and Josh Allen. I have them winning this one 31-21. Our next game, Chargers and Browns, actually our first non-divisional game on Sunday that we're gonna talk about. Chargers beat the Saints 26-8. No real, pressure there on them. They easily won that game. They were a better team. They won. And the Browns able to shockingly upset the Ravens. And they were just, they played better. They exposed the Ravens' bad defense. And it just shows how much Deshaun Watson was really holding that team back. And this game is honestly, I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be very exciting, but definitely interesting. I think it'll be low scoring because it's two teams with great defenses. And it's going to come down to which quarterback I trust more. And despite the season he's having, not the greatest season for him, I still trust Justin Herbert more than Jameis Winston. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Chargers to win 13-10. Moving on, we've got a game. It's the Patriots taking on the Titans. Patriots able to shockingly beat the Jets. And last Sunday, and that sounded a little wrong, but they did. And the Titans, they lost to the Lions by a fuck ton of points. They lost 52-14, and it really just, it wasn't a good day for the Titans. And honestly, I really don't know who is going to willingly watch this game. Unless you're a Patriots or Titans fan, I really don't see a reason for you to watch this game over the other games that are playing. But that does not change the fact that this game is going to be played, and I do think the Patriots are going to win, and I obviously don't think this will be exciting. I think the Patriots will win 16-13. Our next game, we got the Cowboys taking on the Falcons. The Cowboys losing on Sunday Night Football to the 49ers, 30-24, and that was just a blown opportunity by the Cowboys, to be honest. 49ers were so injured, and they couldn't take advantage of it. Unlike the Falcons, who were able to take advantage of their inferior opponent, the Bucs, they won that game, and their offense looked really good. I have some questions about their defense because they almost lost the game because of their defense letting Baker Mayfield absolutely torch them. But I still got to give credit where credit's due. A win's a win, and never ever apologize for a win. And I do think the Falcons will win this one. And I think it will be close because I think I still have some concerns about the Falcons defense, and I think that gives CeeDee Lamb some room to, let's just say, get some yards. And I think that's going to make this game a lot closer for the Falcons than it probably should be. So I'm still going to pick them, but I think it'll be 20-19 Falcons. Moving on to our next game, we got the Raiders taking on the Bengals. The Raiders losing to the Chiefs, and it wasn't particularly close, despite what the final score might tell you. And they were outgained by the Chiefs, and the Chiefs were better than them. And the Bengals, they got absolutely dominated by the Eagles, and that score wasn't even close. And the thing is, I don't think either of these teams are that good. I still think the Bengals' offense is pretty good, but I mean, their defense is just not good. They're bad, and their offense, honestly, I mean, the fact that they couldn't even do well against the Eagles really shows some red flags. Like, the offense is what carries this team, and they couldn't get the job done against a lesser foe when it comes to defense. Not saying the Eagles are bad, but their defense still is pretty bad. And regardless, I'm still going to pick the Bengals because the Raiders honestly have not really shown any sorts of life this season. I mean, their last win was in Week 4 against the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson. That just shows how bad it is for this team. So I'm going to pick the Bengals here. I'm going to have them winning this one 30-20. Next game up on the 1 o'clock slate is the Denver Broncos taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Broncos able to take care of business against the Panthers last week. And the Ravens shockingly lost to their division rival Cleveland Browns, so they did not take care of business. And this game is actually an interesting game. I didn't expect to say this at the beginning of the season, but here we are. You've got the Broncos with their unbelievable defense and their iffy offense, and you've got the Ravens with their unbelievable offense and their iffy defense. So, you know what I always say, something's got to give, and one of these teams is going to, I feel like, get exposed a tiny bit in a matter, just because that's kind of how games like this go. And I have to pick the Ravens. It pains me to do this, because some of you may know I am a Broncos fan, but I just don't see any way we can stop the Ravens' run attack. Because, like, our specialty is our cornerbacks. Not that our rushing defense is bad. They're pretty good, but, you know, Derrick Henry and Lamar, I think, is going to give us some problems. And I think the Ravens will win this one with a score of 23-20. Starting off the 4 o'clock slate, you got the Chicago Bears taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Chicago Bears, I'm not going to lie, that's a painful way to lose a game. They lost on a last-second Hail Mary, and that's got to be one of the worst possible ways to lose a game. And the Cardinals shockingly beat the Dolphins on a last-second field goal, so both these teams had their game won or lost on the last play of the game. And Cardinals got some momentum. They've won, I believe, they've won 2 in a row against some opponents that they were heavily favored. The opponent was heavily favored against them, and they're just proving some people wrong. And I still believe the Bears are favored in this game. So can they make it 3 in a row? Can they prove everyone wrong 3 games in a row? And I don't see that happening because I think the Cardinals will come down to earth a little bit. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Bears to win because, I feel like they just had an off game. I don't think that team against the Commanders is, the team that we're going to see from a week-to-week basis. I have the Bears winning this one with a score of 27-14. Moving on, we got the Jags taking on the Eagles. The Jacksonville Jags almost beat the Packers. They lost on a last-second field goal, and, a lot of things went their way in that game. I mean, not that we hope for Jordan Love to stay injured, but him getting injured helped them out, and they almost took advantage of that, but unable to capitalize. And the Eagles absolutely dominated their competition. They beat the shit out of the Bengals. They just sent those kittens, they sent the Bengals back home with their tails between their legs. And I think this game's pretty cut and dry, I'm going to pick, because, Jags aren't exactly trending up, and the Eagles are. They are definitely trending up. The talent deficit is just so far apart as well. The Eagles are at home, and I guess, Doug Peterson revenge game. I didn't even think about that, but I think the Eagles will be the team to get revenge as I have them winning 33-21. Moving on, we got the Rams taking on the Seahawks. The Rams able to beat the Vikings last week on Thursday Night Football in a pretty shocking victory. They got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back in that game, and you could see the potential of that offense against a very good defense, I might add, as well. So definitely a huge boost to have those guys on their team. And the Seahawks, they got embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills, 31-10, I believe was the score. And they just don't look that good. I don't know what to say. Their defense was supposed to be their strength, but, you could argue it's been their weakness. I also think the offense hasn't been great either. I think Geno Smith definitely needs to start playing better to give this team a chance, but there's a lot of shit wrong with this team, and I got to pick the Rams here. The Rams have a worse record, and, they collectively have probably played worse, but they just have more momentum right now. The Seahawks, they've only won 1 of their last 5 games, and, I don't really see a light at the end of the tunnel for them. I have the Rams winning this one 26-22. Ending the 4 o'clock slate, we got the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. And if I'm being completely honest, this should be Sunday Night Football. It's not, but, it should be. This game is must-watch football right here. You've got 2 of the best teams in the NFC, both in the NFC North, by the way. And you don't put it on Sunday Night Football? I don't understand why the NFL isn't doing that, but I digress. Lions, they killed the Titans. They won 52-14, and they honestly are the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. And the Packers, they narrowly beat the Jags. To be fair, they did have some adversity in that game. Jordan Love suffered an injury midway through the third quarter, and that obviously is not going to make things sunshine and rainbows, but Malik Willis did come out with a victory. And I'm not sure if Jordan Love is going to play this game. If he does, that really helps the Packers' chances of winning. But because of the uncertainty there, I'm going to have to go with the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win this one with a score of 29-24. Moving on to our Sunday night football game, we got the Colts taking on the Vikings. The Colts lost to the Texans. They benched Anthony Richardson. And it doesn't look good for the Colts. It really doesn't. And because the thing about them is, like, I get why they're benching Richardson, but it's like, you know, he was your the fourth overall pick a few years ago, and it's like, you know, you just took a pick and you're not going to use him. That's the thing. That's the thing that kind of sucks for the Colts there. Although for the Vikings, they're on a 2-game losing streak, so they got their problems as well. They lost to the Rams. So both these teams coming off of losses, and I mean, I don't know. I could see either team winning because the Vikings have looked very suspect these past 2 weeks, but I'm still going to pick them. I do think the Colts will make this a game because Joe Flacco actually is a very good backup quarterback. And if that Vikings defense is as sketchy as they have been the past 2 weeks, this game could honestly be a shootout. I am still going to pick the Vikings, though, because it's at home. And I still do think their defense is not that bad. So I think they'll do just enough to beat the Colts 26-24. And ending the week, we got the Bucs taking on the Chiefs. The Bucs losing to the Falcons, which, honestly, I got to give credit to the Bucs. They put up a better fight than I thought they would. You know, considering the circumstance, I thought it would be... I did say the Bucs would win, but I thought it'd be more the Falcons losing the game. But, I mean, honestly, the Bucs honestly almost won that game, and they did put up a lot... they did put up a good fight considering the circumstances. I mean, they didn't have Chris Godwin or Mike Evans, and Baker Mayfield still had a really good game. And the Chiefs, you know, they beat an inferior opponent again and won again, and they're still undefeated. And I will say, for the Chiefs' sake, to be giving them some positive rap here, they did look a lot better offensively in the game against the Raiders they played than they have for the past, you know, few weeks. So credit where credit's due. They are playing better on offense. And honestly, this could be a really good game. It's a rematch of Super Bowl, whatever it was, I think 55? I honestly don't remember. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was Super Bowl 55 when Tom Brady was still in the box. So yeah, definitely some fun storylines here. And I do have the Chiefs winning. I don't see them losing to a flawed Buccaneers team that is down Mike Evans and Chris Godwin with Todd Bowles' iffy defensive play calling. I still do think it'll be close because that's just how a lot of these Chiefs games have been. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win with a score of 35-31. And that's going to do it for my predictions. Thank you so much for watching this video. And here are all the predictions laid out, and I'll see you next time.